Mira Jansen had survived the Proxima Wars, negotiated the Treaty of Andromeda's Edge, and once jury-rigged a failing life support system using nothing but duct tape and spite. But standing in Corridor 7B of the Galactic Youth Education Center, watching the lights flicker on and off in an erratic rhythm, she felt her patience wearing thin. "Systems check ran clean this morning," she muttered, tapping her datapad. The diagnostic readings showed nothing wrong. Power flow, normal. Sensor array, functional. Emergency protocols, inactive. Yet every 3 seconds, the overhead lights would flash, plunging the hallway into brief darkness before blazing back to life. The other species on staff had stopped questioning human frustration tolerance years ago. Mira's ability to maintain composure while everything fell apart was legendary. She'd once taught a classroom of Vrexian younglings during a meteor shower that knocked out gravity controls. But this was testing even her limits. She'd been walking this corridor for 20 minutes, and the pattern never changed. Flash, darkness, light, flash, darkness, light. Engineering to Coordinator Jansen, her comm chirped. "Jansen here. Please tell me you found the electrical fault." "That's the thing, Coordinator. There is no fault. The motion sensors are working exactly as designed. They're detecting movement and activating the lights." Mira stopped walking. The lights stayed on. She frowned. "Then why do they keep flickering when I'm standing still?" There was a pause. "You might want to check the auxiliary gymnasium, ma'am." Oh. 3 minutes later, Mira stood in the doorway of the gym, and everything made terrible, wonderful sense. 47 cubs of various species filled the space. At the center, dancing with the kind of chaotic enthusiasm only children possessed, was Ziki, a young Thraxian whose azure fur was practically glowing with excitement. The Thraxian species were known for their 4 arms, exceptional memory, and an unfortunate tendency toward rule-following that made them the galaxy's most boring accountants. Ziki, however, had apparently missed that genetic memo. "And move," Ziki shouted. All 4 arms raised high. The entire group shifted 2 meters to the left. The lights in Corridor 7B flickered off. They shifted back right. The lights returned. "Now the spin maneuver." Ziki demonstrated an elaborate twirl. The cubs attempted to follow, with varying degrees of success. A Kelleron youngling fell over. Their tentacles tangled. A human child crashed into a Vrexian, both erupting into giggles. The lights kept flickering. Mira felt something between exasperation and admiration. She cleared her throat. The chaos continued. She cleared it louder. Still nothing. Finally, she put 2 fingers in her mouth and produced a whistle sharp enough to cut through hull plating. Silence crashed over the gymnasium. 47 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Ziki's fur rippled with what Mira recognized as the Thraxian equivalent of, "Oh no! We're in trouble. Coordinator Jansen!" Ziki's translator rendered their voices chipper, despite the obvious nervousness. "We were just practicing our spatial awareness exercises. By triggering the motion sensors in the corridor above us? It's very educational," Ziki insisted. "We're learning about human technology and its predictable responses to stimulus. Also, it makes excellent music if you time it right." Mira wanted to be angry. She should be angry. There were regulations about unauthorized use of station systems. There were safety protocols. There were at least 6 different forms she'd need to fill out. Instead, she found herself remembering her first week at the center. The Galactic Council had been skeptical about hiring a human as youth coordinator. Humans were too chaotic, they said. Too unpredictable, too willing to break rules for the sake of creativity. She'd proven them wrong by being exactly those things. "Show me," Mira said. Ziki's eyes widened. All 4 of them. Thraxians had excellent peripheral vision. "Show you? The motion sensor dance. Show me how it works." What followed was the most ridiculous 15 minutes of Mira's career. Ziki explained their discovery with the earnest passion of a young scientist. They'd noticed that the motion sensors in different corridors were connected to different lighting grids. By coordinating movement in the gym below, They could create patterns in the hallway above. Add rhythm. And suddenly, you had music. Add choreography. And you had art. It was stupid. It was brilliant. It was exactly the kind of lateral thinking that made humans simultaneously the most frustrating and most valuable members of the galactic community. The problem, Mira said, after Ziki finished their demonstration, is that you're triggering emergency response reviews every time you practice. Engineering thinks we have a critical malfunction. Ziki's fur drooped. We didn't mean to cause problems. I know. But here's what we're going to do. Mira pulled up her datapad. I'm going to authorize supervised recreational use of the motion sensors. 2 hours, twice a week, with proper notification to engineering. You'll need to submit an activity proposal, including safety considerations and educational value. Really? Hope crept back into Ziki's voice. Really? But, Mira held up a finger. You're also going to teach the other cubs about responsible system use. And you're going to present your findings at next month's Science Demonstration Day. We can do that. Ziki's fur practically sparkled. Thank you, Coordinator Jansen. As Mira left the gymnasium, she heard Ziki rallying the cubs for their first official practice. The lights in Corridor 7B began their rhythmic flicker again. But this time it didn't bother her. The other species on the council would probably file complaints. They'd question her judgment, her methods, her very human tendency to encourage controlled chaos. But they'd also watch 47 younglings from across the galaxy learn that rules weren't walls. They were frameworks. That creativity could exist within structure. That sometimes the best discoveries came from asking, what if, instead of, why not? That was the thing about humans that the galaxy was still learning. They didn't just survive. They didn't just adapt. They taught others to find joy in the unexpected, to see possibility in malfunction, to dance in the flickering lights. Mira smiled and made a note in her log. Electrical issue resolved. Feature, not bug.